Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. So this is everything that you need to know about the New World Order over the next couple of months. Now, first off, you're not in control. They are. This has all been pre-planned, orchestrated, and these are manufactured events currently taking place. Whether or not we're looking at the onset of the Second American Revolution, with this Cliven Bundy revolt, something fantastic to see, liberty-minded individuals, people, groups, humanity in general, was very excited to see that transpire here in the United States, where literal cowboys, true Americans and patriots showed up with their guns and said, we're not going to take it anymore. And you're not going to take Cliven Bundy's land, his access to public state land. Something that he has grandfather rights to over hundreds and hundreds of years, dating back to his Mormon roots and ancestry. All of this, though, is tied in to the New World agenda. Again, they're test marketing. These are test campaigns launched by the NSA and the gross Orwellian surveillance system in order to measure not only what the response will be to these types of events, but who are the key players. Not just within the mainstream media, but the alternative media and civilians and militia groups alike. Again, Cliven Bundy, and I think one of the reasons people identified with him so well is because he represents such a broad brushstroke of what America is in the minds of so many people. Again, the West and the God-loving, liberty fighting American people that risked everything for their freedom. For this individual life path and this truth that many of us have been able to live in the United States up till now. But now we're living in this gross Orwellian police state where literally an oligarchy of players at the top of not just the Federal Reserve and the money printing business, but global politics at large, these groups, the World Bank, the United Nations, the IMF, our politicians here in the United States, literally run an oligarchy. I mean, this isn't a democracy. In fact, there was a study done on it recently that proved the point. This isn't a democracy. This isn't a country ruled by the interests of the people. No, it's a group of supreme beings that rule over the land like kings and queens over the rest of the peasants. Again, nothing has changed in thousands and thousands of years. Only the perception has. And that's why these aristocrats have been able to pull the wool over your eyes, so to speak, and really sell you on the biggest con job in the history of the world, in the history of America. Many Americans think they're free when they're really not. People like Senator Harry Reid, who was grossly connected, this all came out in the skirmish over the weekend, grossly connected to the Cliven Bundy confiscation plan. This anti-constitutional act to steal cattle and to steal personal property and land from a sovereign state. All of this a part of Harry Reid's game plan to pocket the pocketbooks of his family members that are grossly entrenched in big business, not just with the Chinese and the installation of solar panels, but all kinds of multi-billion-dollar industry. This is what America is today. So we have all this happening in the United States. We have this armed rebellion that literally took place a few days ago that could have and could very likely still be the catalyst for the Second American Revolution here in the United States. But we also have all these global interconnected events happening right now. Russia allegedly did a flyby, I think it's crafted and pretty much orchestrated by the United States, says that Russia put a fighter jet and did a flyby on a U.S. warship a couple of days ago. They're always positioning Russia and Vladimir Putin like they're this aggressor nation, when it's almost comedic in its reality, in its truth. The United States, the clear-cut aggressor in this case. Whether or not, I cite countless examples in the Middle East, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, the list goes on, or it's in Ukraine. Again, all of this interconnected in this web that is really connected at the top of the pyramid through the Federal Reserve System. Some of you might want to call that the Illuminati, these key power brokers, these power players, the oligarchy. Even people like Harry Reid have bosses. Everybody has a boss. And the biggest boss, his boss in my opinion, is the big man upstairs, the big woman upstairs, whatever you may believe in. But all this interconnected. And what I believe is happening is the United States and the global leadership in general, the New World Order, is preparing for war. They've been preparing for a global conflict for some time. They need to cleanse themselves so that they can profit from the war machine that really is the United States, that is Europe, but really is even bigger than that, is the banking cartel itself. This oligarchy of key players that, again, make money and profit from both nations fighting and profit from a global conflict. Again, they're always funding and financing both sides of the war. And all of this is reaching a boiling point in the United States and around the world globally as we see the Eurozone and the United States both systemically fester from the inside out. This systemically rotten system that literally has been propped up by 0% interest rates, funny money, and artificial stimulus for far too long. Of course they know all of this is going to come to an abrupt end. It's been a part of the plan from the very beginning. Again, while they've been patting their pockets and getting rich, accepting and demanding by force trillion-dollar bailouts and this free money at the Federal Reserve open window, so these major hedge funds and institutional investors and the global elite that have access to this kind of thing can make even more money while they're stripping it from you, the slave, who lives in the illusion, not maybe you tuning in, but millions of people around the world that live in that illusion that they're free when they're really not. They're the common serf or the common peasant. They just have the illusion of freedom. They have the illusion of comfort and safety. Again, people really don't prefer liberty at all. What they do is they prefer consistency, routine, and safety over liberty. Most people are very fearful and want to be controlled. It's in their nature. But all of this reaching a boiling point, and I think, you know, when the financial markets finally do collapse a second time, because they just did in 2008, not too long ago. I mean, millions of people lost everything and are still living through the repercussions of that now. Again, this wasn't a long time ago. This was just a few years ago. And now we're in another Ponzi scheme. But when it hits the next head, I think that the misconception is a lot of people really believe, even a lot of the elites on Wall Street, maybe not at the top of the New World Order, but a lot of these elites really think that this market is somehow a managed market, that somehow it's being controlled, which it is. But I think that the point a lot of people aren't seeing is it's going to reach a boiling point. It's going to reach a cataclysm and an event and a shock where it will be grossly mismanaged. And even the elites themselves will lose control. I don't even know if they know the exact date or day or time that that will happen. All I know is they know that they're pushing this to the edge of the cliff. And when it falls, they have all their chess pieces in place. They have all their players in motion. All of their politicians bought and paid for. All of their FEMA camps ready. All of your constitutional rights stripped. They have the Orwellian surveillance state already implemented. All of this gross technology being used to control you. And they're ready. They're not only ready, but they're just waiting. And when the time comes that, you know, a suitcase bomb goes off in an American or European city, God forbid, or the financial markets collapse overnight again, just like they did a few years ago, most people, unfortunately, the great vast majority, will be the ones to suffer the consequences. Not just economically, but physically, spiritually, really on all levels. And the global elite, once again, will pass that hot potato to you, the working class, the common peasant, and the common serf, while they sail off into the sunset, which is what they continually do throughout history, time and time again. Again, all these great wars, World War I, World War II, the World War III, I believe we're already in. We just haven't acknowledged yet, kind of like Vietnam. It took, 10 years for us to acknowledge we were really in a war. We're in the global conflict now. We're in the war, folks. That's the hardcore reality of the way things are. But they need these wars and they need these global confrontations. They need a conflict to, again, reset the system. Again, it's all for their benefit, not yours. They'll expense millions of people's lives. Millions of people will starve like they currently are now as a result of Federal Reserve policies and 0% interest rates, sending commodity prices skyrocketing. In a lot of places around the world, places like Africa, you wonder why the kids are starving? It's because of the Federal Reserve policies here in the States. That's why. because it doesn't benefit, this funny money doesn't benefit any other nation but the U.S. and the global elite themselves. A very small minority, again, that have engineered, manufactured, and have presented these series of events to you, the public, for a reason. Again, all of this a part of a much larger spiritual battle. Good versus evil. And believe me, folks, we're at war. You know, whether or not you look at the blood moon and the solar eclipse, the moon eclipses, and all this mumbo jumbo that's happening right now, all of this is a part of a much larger picture. A much more dangerous landscape of war, of criminal intent, with really a fundamental motive and driver to profit from your demise, to profit and to capitalize on your ruin. All totalitarian governments, leadership, rulers, all have the same agenda. And it's a selfish, self-focused, self-involved, narcissistic agenda. And that's exactly what the New World Order is. And these are some of the things that I've been looking at and that you should be paying very close attention to over the next coming months. Not just war, but our financial system and this growing unrest that has been manifesting itself over the past few years and is now spawning. And we're seeing this catalyze in movements and in response from the American people, events like the Cliven Bundy event that is garnering and awakening even more people. I'm Christopher Green, hard-hitting and in your face as usual. You've been tuning into AMTV. Get it out everywhere, make it viral, and click the link below to support our sponsor.